guys, so here is the thing that you want to do before you start. So when you get your feathers, you see how that some of them go in one direction. So this is the top edge of the feather. This is the bottom where it's more raised. So this one is curving in one direction. And this one is curving in the other direction. So making sure that you're see the bottom is more. So what you want to do before you start is I would go through the feathers and split them out into two piles, so that what you're going to do is when you put them on, you're going to do your first layer with all the feathers going in one direction, and then your next layer, the feathers go in a different direction, and then for the next layer, these ones I went with more of a straight one. So that's what you want to do to keep it looking more perfect. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is decide how large you want your finished piece to be. My circle here is 25.5 inches. I'm not sure why I chose that size, but that's what size it is. And you can just make your circle using a piece of string, a Sharpie, and I've got mine plunked into the middle using a screwdriver. So this is a metal serving tray. It worked pretty well, except for the only thing I would caution you maybe to do is find something that's similar shape and size, but maybe a bit stiffer. Probably a hard plastic serving tray would work well. I did spray paint this white just in case you see any bits through the feathers. I just used Rust-Oleum paint and primer in white. And then I just measured out to the center of the serving tray and I jammed my screwdriver through it. And then I just put it through the same hole that I had used when I did the circle in the first place. And then I just used painter's tape. You could use painter's tape or masking tape just to hold it into place. And then we're going to take the screwdriver out and then it's going to be nicely centered in our larger circle. Okay, now comes the fun part. So now we get to start gluing on our feathers, and you should already have them split into 1 to 3 groups depending on which direction they curve in, so you don't have to fuss around looking for the right direction. Just grab your feathers and glue them on. Okay, so here's the important part. When you're gluing your feathers down, don't really pay attention to where the quill end of the feather is going. The whole purpose of drawing that outer circle is so that you can use that as your guide to keep all your feather edges lined up to that circle. And I used hot glue to glue these on, and you can either put a line of glue and attach them. I found it was easier just to put a little bit of glue. It actually looks like I'm gluing it onto the quill, but I'm gluing it just below the quill and then tucking the quill. And I'm using the hot glue gun to tap it down so I don't burn my fingers. And from here, you just work your way around until you get all the way through the first layer of feathers on the outer edge. So this is the second layer, and for this one I actually laid all the feathers out in advance and then just glued them down so I have them kind of where I wanted them. And you want to do the same as you did with the first layer in that you want to pay attention to the outside edge. So keeping an equal distance between the two layers of feathers on the outside edge. And then for the third layer, which is I only did 3 layers, you could do more if you wanted to. I just took a bunch of the shorter feathers that were pretty much straight, and then I did that layer using those feathers. So once all the feathers are attached and everything's nicely held in place, you're going to need something to support the mirror. So I actually used a lid from a pill bottle, which probably would have worked okay. The issue that I had, which I mentioned earlier, was that the serving tray that I used was quite flimsy, and so it was more flexible than I wanted it to be. But no worries, it worked in the end. So then you're going to center your mirror. So you're going to put down some, I used both a combination of both E6000 and hot glue, and you're going to center your mirror measuring to the outside edge, because it doesn't matter if it's centered on the platter as long as it's centered to the outside edge. And the last piece is to add a little bit of decorative trim if you want. You could leave it plain if you like. So this is just some silver cord that I got from the dollar store, Dollarama. And it came in silver and gold, and I chose silver. And I taped up, we want to tape up the end if it's anything like this kind of cord where it tends to unravel, and then tuck it underneath the mirror because you'll have a little bit of space under the mirror's raised up a bit. So you're going to tuck that piece that's taped up underneath the mirror, and then you're basically going to glue it kind of to the edge of the mirror. And because you've got that nice round mirror, it's going to keep your trim nice and round as well. So the final piece is we need to hang it by something. So all I did, because this is a very kind of flimsy, for lack of a better word, serving tray, I just punched a hole in either side with a pair of sharp scissors. And then I just took a little piece of ribbon and I just tied the ribbon onto either edge. And that way it's not going to come undone.